Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Happy to be back with you this new year, and a happy new year to all of you watching. Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman and John Kovac here on the HAN Network. Lot to get you caught up on from the holiday break, but first, gentlemen, happy to be back in studio with you both, and a happy new year to both of you.
Hey, happy New Year, Frank. Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year, guys.
You guys sound so happy. No, look, there was obviously big things to cover that we were a part of over the weekend. We have both outdoor games at Greenwich Skating Club, and again, a huge thank you to the Greenwich Skating Club and to the Greenwich hockey programs. What a first-class run day. We were so proud to be a part of it. So much fun. We've also got the Todd Berger Holiday Tournament we want to cover as well. I do want to offer congratulations to the Trumbull hockey team. They took home a tournament title up in New Hampshire. Also, big shout-out to former Fairfield Prep player Mark Arcabello being named to the U.S. Olympic team for the Pyeongchang Olympics at the end of next month. So a lot going on, but let's start with what I thought was the most exciting part of that holiday break, that boys outdoor game, Greenwich and Darien, a 4-3 Cardinals win. And if you were Coach Chris Rurik and you scripted how that day would go a year ago, you couldn't have drawn it up any better.
Well, it was funny when we were, coming on the ice and he was coming over to the bench. He looked at me and just said, "I can't believe this. This is like out of a movie. You couldn't ask for a more perfect day. Perfect cold temperatures. You had the snow in the girls' game, which made for a nice, really nice backdrop during the girls' game. Then you had the nice weather for the boys' game and the nice sunset, I should say, that you even mentioned, John. So Rurik was over the moon. He was so pleased with what he saw on Saturday.
The lighting incredibly dramatic as we played at twilight. Just got better as it got dark. Yes, there were some tough camera angles, but I think you saw the same with NBC and its coverage of the outdoor game from Citi Field on New Year's Day. So it's just tough to get those near boards. But I would sign on to do that again. I'd love to see that event come back.
Yeah, he even mentioned to me, he said, I hope this is something that is a new tradition now here in Greenwich at the Greenwich Skating Club. That was a great performance from both teams. It goes down to the wire to the very last shot. I think you really just saw a remarkable game, that 4-3 finish. So I think, and we go and hope that this is a tradition now that's going to last for more years to come in Greenwich.
A lot of fun. We'll get to the highlights in a second, but before that, and traditions aside, if you're Darien, you were very happy to be a part of that game, but Coach Mac Budd right now, John, has got to be a little concerned after having another game with a very full penalty score sheet.
They've got the discipline just is not there, and I'm sure he's going to hammer that point home leading up to tomorrow night's game with Notre Dame of West Haven. They cannot keep giving up power plays. They cannot keep having top-line players in the box, and we saw it really bad against New Canaan and then just as bad outdoors against Greenwich.
And both of those games, it was the second period where things really fell apart. And so, obviously the officials are doing their job, but we talked a little bit about it. This is as a former guy, a former hockey player, former coach. I'm from the standpoint, make a couple of those calls early on,
right,
in the first 5-7 minutes, nip that in the butt right away, let the players know what's up, and I don't think it gets as chippy as it does. At the same time, there were some penalties that just needed to be avoided, and there was nothing you could do. I mean, the one on Henry Feifel, which was just unnecessary at the time, did need to happen. I think a guy like Matt Bogger for Greenwich, his emotions got the best of him at times, so there was obviously a lot of extra things that went into that game and was surrounding it. But you're right, for both of these teams, especially Darien after their last two games, they've got to clean it up if they're going to have the success that they're built to have this year.
I almost think across the board, I don't have any stats to point that out right now, but it almost seems that across the board we're seeing more penalties because every game we're at, Kevin's got a ton of company in the box.
And if you guys heard what Coach Mac Budd was saying to me when I caught up with him going into the third period during the second intermission, you could tell how frustrated he was.
Oh, he was exercised.
Yeah, he even said, if this continues, there are going to be some players who are going to see some bench time. There are going to be some guys who aren't seeing a lot of ice, going to see some ice time. So a lot of his good players he mentioned were if that continued in the third period, there was a chance they were coming out of that game. So you're right. The motion's got to be in check. The Henry Feifel, he mentioned to me, was very frustrating being from the coaching side of it. He, wanted his goalie to keep his emotions in check. But even Hunter Hazelton, too, the captain, was worried as well. When I was catching up with him during the game as well, he said that, this is something that we need to work on. And again, it's that second period. They're fine the first period, and then the second period comes. It's just the penalties start piling up, especially in that second period. You look at that New Canaan game, that's when the second period, that's when the penalties started to pile up. Then in the Greenwich game on Saturday, that's when the penalties, again, were piling up. So that's something they need to look at and really start to work on a little bit.
Frank, you played FCAC hockey. Was there a time when more was called in the first period to try to get a lid on the game early? Are we seeing it called differently?
It's because a lot of the officials are the same guys that I played under, and it's a lot of the same as to what we saw back then. But it's one of those things that I think a lot of these guys know each other now. There's a social media presence obviously that goes around this league, and so you gotta understand there's extra rivalries that build over the offseason with these teams. And listen, this was a big game. There were a lot of emotions, and at times they got the better players, and that's okay. It's a part of the game, and you want it to happen now rather than the postseason. The big thing for Darien that Coach Bud should be happy about is the penalty kill is playing very well. Oh, yeah. They got a shorthanded goal off it to take that first lead. They really kept Greenwich at bay. They didn't allow a power play goal to the Cardinals, so they're doing things that they should be happy about. Let's take a look at the highlights now from Greenwich's 4-3 win outside of the Greenwich Skating Club Saturday. Are the mics down? So, we're looking at this here. This is early on in the going now. We're outside. This was an unbelievable day, and here's that first goal, John. We're talking about the play of the special teams. Darien was so aggressive all night long with the penalty kill, and it gets the reward there for McCarthy.
Great feed, great finish, and then Greenwich scores on almost the same type of goal. Take it down, little crossing pass, and somebody's there. As soon as the goalie commits one way, kick it into the vacated side.
Yeah, you see Charlie Graves, again, just a nice finish in that first goal. Even better second goal here, but he's someone that's been grinding hard. That's someone Coach Rurick was giving a lot of high praise in this game.
And, Bogger, we expected Matt Bogger to find himself on the score sheet. He has been a huge presence for the past few years with this offense. This was big for the Wave late now. They've got the 5-on-3 advantage here. They had to find a way to get it back, and just a great shot. Gets a good deflection off the stick of James Gregory. All of a sudden now, it's a game again.
It's a game, and there's time, and they needed to get one on the 5-on-3 and then follow up on the 5-on-4. Instead, you ended up with a 4-on-4, and this goal really iced it.
That made it 4-2. Darien would add one more in the game. But the great part of that play right there, Matt Bogger, a lot of guys might try to force that pass over. Great presence of mind. He shoots one down low to the off pad, gets that rebound. Matt Davey finishes in front. Davey finished the game with 3 points, adding 2 assists as well. Nikita Kovalev got his first goal of the year for the Cardinals. That was big. Scoring top to bottom across their 3 lines. Alex Mojian doesn't get a goal in this game, but I thought he was one of the better players on the ice.
He makes a lot happen. He gets the puck, and he dictates what's going to happen with that possession.
All right, let's take a look at the updated standings of boys hockey through the winter break now. We've got those per the FCAC.net website. We're going to throw those on the screen here. We're going to throw those on the screen in a moment when we get back. After the break, you're watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
The holidays are a wonderful time to spend with families and friends, sharing a fantastic meal. Football season is in full swing, the fishing has been unbelievable, and it's time to make a list and check it twice. Stop at the Dock Shop, get a fix of summer, and browse loads of new products, including fishing tackle, accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or dockshop.com.
At Rings End, we say it's time to re-love your home.
Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 3 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien, or in the Westport Medical Center at 323 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Go to coastalorthoct.com. Like them on Facebook.
Alpine Limousine is New Canaan's premier global transportation solution. Experience the finest in personalized transportation services in our pristine fleet of 2017 model year cars, with the area's most well-trained and vetted staff of professional drivers. Call us today at 203-966-4111. Alpine Limousine.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the AJA Network, let's look at those boys hockey standings as we head into 2018. FCAC play has not started up yet, but Greenwich John, the lone undefeated team. You've got Staples sitting there 3-0-1. They've got that they've got a tie to their resume, but the Wreckers playing very well now. Of course, they are eligible for FCAC play this year as well. Interesting teams to see on Wednesday night, New Canaan and Ridgefield. I think we're going to learn a lot about both of last year's championship finalists.
You've got Ridgefield at 1-2. You've got New Canaan 0-3, both in unfamiliar and uncomfortable situations. Really a must-win for somebody.
You know, for the past few years now, really almost a half decade, the FCAC has been primed in Division I, making big runs there. I think we're starting to see those prep schools, the Fairfield Preps, the Notre Dames, they're starting to really rise back up out of the SEC. Hamden's playing very well right now. So I think the FCAC is going to struggle early on in these first few weeks of the season. They'll figure it out in the FCAC schedule, and we expect one of them will make a run to the Whale. But right now, it is tough sledding for FCAC schools.
But so you figure it out for the FCACs, then it's right back into the mix with these SCC schools, and Hamden looks really good.
Yep.
Fairfield Prep looks awesome. I mean, that's whoever draws Prep, that's going to be a tough out. I don't know that I see them. I don't know that I've seen them challenged yet.
No, and they had a big tournament win this weekend up in Massachusetts as well. So things going Prep's way right now. And we said it before, Prep looks like they are Prep again.
Yeah, no question.
All right, let's flip it over to the girls' side of that outdoor game. We had the Greenwich Cardinals and Amity North Haven Cheshire Blades, the co-op coming down. This game's supposed to start at 12 o'clock. Well, the weather that everyone wanted came with us Saturday morning. It delayed the start of that game. And ultimately, I think that was too much for the Blades to overcome. They never seemed in sync. They had to literally get changed while on the bus, throw their skates on. They had about 5 minutes to warm up from the time they got to the rink. So it was tough going. And Jen Kelly, maybe throwing her name into the ring for Player of the Year early on here.
Yeah, what a performance she put on Saturday afternoon in front of the Greenwich crowd at the Outdoor Club. That was a great performance by her. She just has a knack for the net, and she's just a great finisher. 5 goals on the day. Really active. Getting her players involved as well, her teammates. So a great performance by her. Really big standout. I know Coach Lurchin was giving her a lot of high praise throughout that game when I got a chance to speak with him.
Yeah, that was the first goal for Kelly, the redirection there. Then just a little battle in front of the net, and Fukuchi gets on the board. Nice job by Amiri there.
Yeah, so Fukuchi was great, I thought. The freshman really stood out to me. Her and Jen Kelly have a lot of good chemistry going on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about them last year, John. We knew they won the conference. They were going to be bringing a lot back. So they're reloaded, and they're playing extremely well right now. This is a big moment here as the Blades get on the board, but you can see the snow falling, piling up on the ice. It was difficult for the girls. Obviously, the puck much heavier playing in those conditions, but we caught up with Jenny Piotrowski after the game, and she just talked about how incredible it was and what it added to the atmosphere there that day, Kev.
Oh, Jenny had a good attitude the entire game, really motivating her teammates. Even when you know the puck was getting a little slow, it was difficult to dump the puck into your opponent's end, and she was really motivating her teammates throughout the whole game. And that's what stood out to me, was that not only for Jenny but for the rest of the team, like Jen Kelly when I spoke to her as well, and Coach Lurchin, they were mentioning how cool of an atmosphere this was, and this is something, a game especially, they're never going to forget playing in, and what a great performance they put on. That really sends kind of a note to the rest of the teams here, and especially in the FCAC, that this is going to be, again, another strong Greenwich team.
Speaking of notes, John, you had a tweet that you wanted to point out regarding the girls' hockey season so far.
I did, and I got this credit courtesy of DHS Girls Ice Hockey. Was tweeted the other day from the Connecticut High School Girls Hockey Association. 2017 brought the third straight year of growth in Connecticut high school girls hockey. The CHSGHA now has 23 teams representing 56 schools and will host a 12-team state tournament in 2018. And I think events like we saw in Greenwich, including girls hockey in that, is just going to help.
It was a lot of fun, and it was really good hockey. We're going to throw the standings for girls hockey up now, and New Canaan and Greenwich both off to that great start. New Canaan's one loss, their season opener against a good Hamden team right now, John. But, they had the big win over Darien. That's going to be a good meeting between those two schools on Martin Luther King Day the 15th at Dorothy Hamill. We'll get to see those top two teams play. Honestly, though, right now, I still wouldn't bet against the Blue Wave. Coach Jamie Tropsa does such a tremendous job down there. Those girls are going to figure it out. Fairfield playing very well. We're going to see Wilton and Norwalk's co-op team against the Stanford West Hill Staples co-op team next Wednesday from Terry Connors. Those teams are going to be fighting for potentially that fourth and final playoff spot. I mean, we expect the top three teams to be there. That last spot's going to be up for grabs, and I think it's going to be a very, very exciting race for that fourth position in the FCAC tournament.
Oh, I think Darien, you mentioned, not only on the girls' side, but on the boys' side, too, you can't count them out, even despite their early record. I really do think that these are two teams on their both respective sides that are going to reach the playoffs this year.
No question.
No question about it. All right, we're going to take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we're going to look back on the Todd Berger Holiday Tournament as we get you caught up on basketball from over the break and get you ready for what's ahead in the month of January as our broadcast year kicks off in 2018. That's next on the HAN Network.
We know it's your busy season, and that's why Walter Stewart's Market is here to make things easy by offering the best of autumn under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market is your local one-stop fall shop. There are so many seasonal flavors to savor, and Stewart's has them all, from Blue Jay Orchard's local cider donuts to Vermont Farmstead cheddar and all of your favorite varieties of local apples and pears. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and find us at stewartsmarket.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Whether it's work or play, our Ram trucks get the job done with unparalleled style and performance. Call, click, or stop in to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck that you've been looking for. Family owned and operated for over 50 years. Save thousands at the Big Finish 2017. Now through December 31st.
At Galt, we always put you first. As your full-service home heating partner, we provide expert delivery, installation, and maintenance for all your heating needs with knowledgeable, friendly professionals that give you peace of mind 24/7. Galt Family Companies, you first since 1863.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Base Star and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
We're back on Nutmeg Sports, and we are turning our attention to basketball now as we look back on the play from over the break. Frank Granito with Kevin Coleman and John Kovac going back to the championship of the Todd Berger Holiday Tournament. The host school, Fairfield Ward, would take on the Staples Wreckers in the championship game. Two of the top teams in the conference right now playing as well as they can, and it was the Staples Wreckers led by Ariana Gehrig and Ellen Fair taking home this year's title. A big win for Staples, and they have definitely put themselves on the map, boys, as a team who we expect to see there down the stretch.
Well, how about the sophomore and the junior? You got Ariana Garrick, the sophomore, and Ellie Fair, the junior, stepping up big in a big game like this. And I thought the big key in the second half was that half-court trap that really disrupted Fairfield Ward's rhythm there. Libby McKenna had a little bit of difficulty breaking that press as well. So a tough loss for Ward. I think they'll bounce back definitely. But this is a Staples team that I think alongside Coach Fabian, that this is going to be a team later in the season are going to give some of these strong teams a good challenge.
And the funny part, too, is now Staples is going to take on Danbury tomorrow. But the next game for Ward, it's Friday against Staples again. So Coach Danko will have a chance to maybe figure out that trap game. Both these teams, really, the trap, their press, the defensive pressure they applied throughout the tournament was what impressed me most. They did a lot of good things for large periods of time. In the end, Staples the better team on that day. But I would not write off the Mustangs just yet. I think that with McKenna and Parisi leading that team up front, it's going to cause a lot of problems for the FCI.
I agree. I think the one key, sorry, John, I think the one key is that I think on the boards especially, I thought Staples was great at rebounding, boxing out. Because if you look at Ward, they have good athletes on this roster, John. They have some good players who can rebound. Olivia Parisi, one of them. I thought both teams can really fly up and down the court, but I think at the end of the day, Staples was the better team, and they got those key rebounds.
Well, they were the better team, but they keep playing from behind. Yeah. All of their wins.
Holding the early advantage, John, and breaking the trap. That is why they have an early lead here.
They've broken the trap, and they've found their range. Particularly Ofiera, who's set up where she's hit 2 long-range twos from, but there's Parisi.
Ofiera with it. Parisi inside, looking for help. Instead, turnaround, puts it up, gets a friendly roll.
And just quietly, almost the way they did against Fairfield Ludlow yesterday, Staples just chips away at the lead. It just worked their way back into the game.
Ellen Fair up ahead, and McKenna rejected that one. Garrick spots up the triple. Got all 3 of those. What are my thoughts on that timeout?
Probably similar to mine.
Shiraka up top with it. Working off that pick from Deans all the way to the rack.
A big win for Staples. A lot of that coming in them not allowing Olivia Parisi to get going. They were not going to let the number 5 for Ward beat them down low. 2-3 girls guarding her at times. Yeah. And that is going to be a key I think we see a lot of teams use moving forward in the season. You're
absolutely right. And just being down close to the bench, Frank, listening to Coach Danko, just reminding, even in timeouts, even during when the game was going on live, he was mentioning to Olivia, hey, you're getting doubled every time. So you have to find ways. They're going through different play ideas in the huddle, trying to figure out which ways to not only get her open, but free space for Olivia McKenna. They actually moved the ball extremely well, considering she was being double teamed, even triple teamed at times in the post. She was good about getting the ball and realizing, kicking it back out. And they had good chances at making shots. Some of these shots weren't falling. They had some open looks at 3 that didn't go in. But overall, really thought that Fairfield Ward, despite losing, I thought they did a great job moving the ball.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, you had Libby McKenna having a big game there in the semifinals, so you know what you're going to get from her. I thought some of the girls were a little hesitant shooting in that championship game, and probably had some open looks they would have liked to have knocked down. Coach Danko not upset. It's a great learning experience, and as we look at the standings here in girls basketball now, you're going to see Fairfield Ward is doing just fine. They're sitting there atop the East. Staples up at the top of the West now. They're going to be okay. We get a great game on Friday night, rematch of last year's championship, Trumbull and Stanford. I can't wait to see what Trumbull looks like to start this year. We've heard so many good things. And Stanford now starting to come in their own. Alexa Kellner is really stepping up her game.
And I don't think you can have any conversation about FCI girls basketball without Wilton. You've got a Wilton team there. I mean, and I think they like that. But every time we talk about the girls basketball standings, we talk about the teams to beat the playoffs. We have this conversation, and but Wilton's right there. Wilton's still undefeated. I think they're content to just sit there and surprise people when the time comes.
I fully agree with you, John. I think Wilton has that little bit of edge that they're going to use as motivation once come playoff time. Scary team. You do not want to play them, and no matter what game, especially in the first round, if you get matched up with them, it's going to be a tough matchup against the Warriors. But you're right. This Trumbull-Stanford game is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing how Trumbull plays despite losing some key players. Stanford brings back a ton of players. Lexa Kellner, Andrew O'Connor down low. They're going to be a fun team to watch. So that's going to be a really cool matchup to see what we have early on from these two teams.
And we're going to have Wilton on the calendar very soon. I promise. We're in the midst of getting that going on right now. Let's take you through some of the stuff we've got coming up. We mentioned championship rematches this week. Ridgefield at New Canaan, Trumbull at Stanford. Then next week we get some boys basketball going. You're going to have Danbury taking on Ridgefield. That always a great matchup between those two schools. Girls hockey, Wilton Norwalk McMahon taking on West Hill, Stanford Trinity Catholic Co-op. That game on Wednesday. Thursday, Staples and Trumbull in boys hoop. That should be an interesting matchup there. And then we've got a double header going on next weekend for boys hockey. Semifinal rematch from D1 last year, Northwest Catholic at New Canaan, followed by a rematch between Greenwich and Darien. That'll be a fun day as well. Let's take a second here. We'll throw up the boys hoop standings, let you know where they are sitting coming out of the end of 2017. And you can see right now, great start for Danbury. Stanford starting to come into their own. Battling it out down there in the East. I think we expect Wilton to continue to figure it out. We'll see them a couple of times before the month ends. We're going to have Trinity and West Hill, a city rivalry game coming up on the HAN network here. So a lot of good things to come in boys hoop as that schedule will really start to pick up for us here in January.
Yeah, Wilton 3-1. There's no cause for concern here just yet. This is a talented team. Is it okay if we start peeking towards, what is that, January 30th, that matchup between Richfield at Wilton? The Z is going to be a zoo that night. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Do we ditch that game and go to Tiger Hollow and we do the girls Wilton Richfield game? Do you think,
maybe.
Shame we can't be two places.
We're going to have all of the championship rematches on the HAN network throughout the winter season. I mean, there's a lot of big games coming up. Basketball is really now about to get into the full swing of it. It's funny because for hockey, I don't know that there's a better time than the lead up to the FCX season. You've got so many interconference games. It's a lot of the top teams across the state playing against each other. Basketball is a little more spread out and sporadic. But once you hit the FCX season for basketball, I mean, it's as exciting as you're going to see across the board here.
There's nothing like it. I mean, the excitement when you get to the gym, the student section's getting involved, John, that's just, it adds to the drama, adds to the fun of it. I can't wait to, really get to the deep of it. Once we start reaching the middle of this month, that's when you're really going to start seeing some of those really cool matchups, like the Richfield Wiltons, like the Wilton Fairfield Ward. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup between those two teams. So a lot of good games here in the month of January, so we're ready to go.
All right, before those good games, though, we are going to be at the Darien Ice House tomorrow night. We've got New Canaan, we've got Richfield. One key to success from both of you for tomorrow night's game.
I want to see how Jack Spain does. I want to see how he responds. Can New Canaan get over this hump now and get that first win? Start 2018 fresh, get a win against a team that they lost last year in the FCX championship game, a Richfield team that lost a lot. A lot of young talent's going to be on the ice tomorrow night, so that's going to be fun to watch.
I want to see New Canaan be disciplined, not just in terms of staying out of the box, but in terms of playing to the whistle.
It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Rams, Tigers, 8 o'clock. You can see it right here on the HAN network. We'll be back for Nutmeg Sports tomorrow. Hopefully Kate Chaplinsky's back as well tomorrow. She gets off of jury duty. We've got coffee break for you at 11 a.m. For John Kovach, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. See you next time.